Okay, proceed.
All right. What we need, with apologies to Joe Lenardi, a wokeatology bracket.
Oh, Lord.
To assess the most unhinged Democrats trying to take over the Democratic Party right now. I've got my number one seeds. We got Jasmine Crockett. We got AOC. We got Ilhan Omar. Now, the fourth one I'm undecided about. I'm tempted to give it to Chris Murphy because he's just really picked up his game in the last two to 3 weeks. But I really think we need a bracket to see which of these crazy Dems is going to ultimately take control of this party and bring its approval ratings from 29 to even lower depths. That's my hope for a term.
Governor Pritzker's chief of staff, Ann Caprara, has said the following. The fight going on in the Democratic Party right now is not between hard left, right, and moderate. It's between those who want to fight and those who want to cave. And it gives me no pleasure to say this to you because we are friends, but I think you caved. I think you and 9 other Democrats caved. I don't think you showed the fight that this party needs right now because you're playing with by a rule book where the other party has thrown that rule book away.
True.
And so in my view, what you did really was in supporting that GOP partisan bill that Democrats had no input in, you cleared the way for Donald Trump and Elon Musk to gut Social Security, to gut Medicare, to gut Medicaid. Why did you lead Democratic senators to play by that book that the Republicans are not playing by?
All right, guys, so we got to continue our coverage of the best soap opera on news, which is the downfall of the Democrat Party. Okay, I think that this is better than Young and the Restless. Okay, it's better than Guiding Light. Okay, As the World Turns. Okay, I'm calling this As the Democrats Collapse right now. As the Democrats fold, right? That's what I'm calling this soap opera here, because the drama just doesn't stop. Okay, last time we checked in, Chuck Schumer was getting massive blowback, okay, from the Democrats after he folded to President Trump when it comes to the government shutdown, right? Shutting down the government for reasons that Democrats can't really articulate outside of just hating Trump and feeling like they must do something to stop the president, even if it doesn't make sense or if it honestly helps the president out. And because Trump derangement has cognitively impaired the Democrat Party, a vast majority of them are too stupid to understand why the shutdown probably was not a good idea, okay, for their stated goals of stopping the president from cutting more of the federal government. But regardless, the Democrats have decided that, you know what, they need a new leader, okay, and they're currently openly debating who should be the new leader of the Democrat Party, because it seems as if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, they're on the chopping block.
They don't care if people die. They don't care if people suffer. We want you to be straight with us. How do we go to the next level to fight this?
Call, write letters, show up at places when you can. Show up in front of their office. Tell them how pissed off you are and how bad this is for our country and how there are people inside the house that you are trying to burn down.
I got asked a question. Who's in charge? Who's the leader of the Democratic Party, Governor? And I said, the people are. There is not going to be a charismatic leader ride in and do this. It is going to be people coming out on a beautiful Friday afternoon, demanding change and holding people accountable.
Yeah, well, and voters also said they're looking for leadership. You know, and so I guess the question is, which Democrat do you see stepping up to lead the party?
You need a leader with fight. I've said it over and over again. This is not about being a resistance party. That's very passive. This is about being an opposition party, which is an action. That's very, very active. And when you look at leaders that it seems that people are supporting, you're looking at the Jasmine Crockett's, who doesn't care, who's going to fight for you. You're looking at the Al Green with his cane, who's saying, my constituents need Medicaid. You're looking at that. You're looking at, I would say, an AOC. Her name keeps on coming up because she's out there every single day saying, this is what we need to do. So what I want to see is I want to see somebody meet energy with energy. I want to see a Democratic leader that doesn't capitulate, that doesn't make deals with the other side when the other side is interested in making deals. It's their way or the highway. Let's see a leader that's willing to fight.
Yeah, so Democrats have essentially chosen that they're going to be a radical party, right? They want to just fight Trump, just to fight Trump, instead of getting on board with parts of President Trump's agenda that the American people agree with. Nope. They say, you know what, we're going to oppose everything that Trump does. And again, this is the problem with the Democrats. They haven't learned their lesson. But yes, apparently, according to these polls, right, the media is pushing that Democrat Party voters want the Democrats to become more radical.
I thought this polling was interesting. This is whether Democrats should work with the GOP or stop the Republican agenda. But what I want you to look at here is how this has changed. And back in 2017, 74% of Democrats said they should work with the GOP. Now, 57% say they should stop the Republican agenda. There has been a complete shift in the mindset of the Democratic Party. They want resistance. They want a Tea Party.
100%. And what you just said, we should listen to the people. You said, as a congressman, am I correct in saying that you just said we should listen to the people? Why aren't they listening to the people? There's no leadership. There's nobody doing anything. And what we saw, honestly, was a cave. Yet again, another example with Schumer saying, I don't want the smoke. And we're asking, I mean, they are begging. She just showed the dramatic shift. I don't understand what the problem is. Why is there nobody, for lack of a better word, with some cojones to stand up and say, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Well,
if
look,
you know we need it, and I'm not trying to give you the smoke, but if you know we need it, why is it not happening?
Look, we need to throw a punch. That's correct. And the American people want us to throw a punch.
By the way,
And we need
political,
to-
your political punch, not
yes.
literal punch, because then they're going to say stuff.
Now, of course, the proposals that they're bringing are horrendous enough for us to do that, and we should do that.
What's
Yes.
horrendous about the CR? It continues funding the government at Biden
Horrendous
budget
about
level.
the CR is that it is a cut.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
If you do not consider the cost of doing business, if you do not consider that the cost of living, for example, has gone up, that everything has gone up.
Now you're changing. It's not a cut. You're being
It's a
dishonest.
cut.
It's not a cut.
It's a cut.
It's continuing
A cut is a
funding the
cut is a
government at the
cut.
same levels. It's not a cut. You voted to shut down the government. You voted to lay off every veteran in the federal government. You're making a passionate plea for why Democrats didn't shut down the government. And now Chuck Schumer can't even have a book tour because Democrats are so enraged that the government was. And I'm just confused because last week I was told that people going and expressing their First Amendment rights was part of their democratic and civic duty. And now Chuck Schumer can't even have a book party with Democrats over it. I'm trying to decide.
I mean, Scott,
what's
I actually
right.
think that Democrats are in agreement with you in the sense that they probably think Chuck Schumer should,
Yes,
to
exactly.
Carrie's point, take the smoke.
2 weeks ago, he was attacking
Show up and
events
take the.
and take it.
He should show up and take the L. Is what I'm
Tomorrow-
saying. No one's saying he can't have it, Scott. He can do whatever he chose to. But once again, another example of him deciding to hide. I would love for him to go on the book tour so that he can answer the questions of the American people. Security risk. Perhaps may be true, according to what Abby has said and what his office is saying.
Who would be the security risk, though?
I don't know.
Who
All
would
I'm
be the
saying-
security
Wait a minute.
risk?
The book is about. The book is
Who
about.
is the risk?
Scott,
Can we just admit who the risk is?
The book
left,
is about
right?
anti-Semitism, right? So I guess somebody that might be anti-Semitic might target
So, the left.
Chuck Schumer. Tomorrow,
Yes.
he's supposed to be on The View. I think that hasn't changed. He'll be on the hot seat there.
People are actually excited. NBC News on Meet the Press, they reported their polling found the highest level of enthusiasm in the country going in the right direction since 2004, 20 years. So President Trump is doing exactly what he campaigned on. That's why 76% of people said, according to CBS polling, agreed with his State of the Union speech, which included a lot of independents and a lot of Democrats who were watching that speech.
Carrie.
That is why...
Carrie, my namesake, Carrie.
Yes, my fellow Carrie.
You do know what you're saying is incorrect. I don't care about the polling.
Talk to
The
NBC.
American, I don't care what NBC is saying. I can talk to the people on the streets. Are you on the streets? Are you talking
Absolutely,
to people
I am.
in real life situations who
Absolutely.
have everyday jobs who are saying they're unhappy? You know very well.
Are you saying
that no one-
CNN polling is
they're
wrong?
saying-
no,
they're saying
no.
that-
What I'm saying is,
that Joe
don't do
Biden
me.
under-
Don't try me today, Scotty.
We
what
put
I'm
out a-
saying
we
to
put
you
out a
is that
CNN
you
poll.
know,
Are you
by
saying
and
our polling
large,
is wrong?
no. What I'm saying to you is that you know, by and large, people are not happy. This
No,
is
they're
not,
very happy. They're unhappy with Democrats.
You're happy.
They're happy with Trump.
You're happy. Democrats aren't happy. We're not happy with Democrats and the way they're
Let me
handling
try to
this
sort this out
situation.
real quick before we have to go to break.
Yeah, so I cannot express to you guys how much I really appreciate Scott Jennings, right? Because he is the gift that keeps on giving for CNN and Abby Phillips, her sad debate show, right? Because he pointed out correctly that, hey, Chuck Schumer can't even go on a book tour without threats of violent extremism coming from the left, right? I mean, that is what he's afraid of. He's running from his own party. Leftists basically have made the leader so afraid that he can't go on a book tour, right? Again, this is how the Democrat Party operates. They operate with the threat of violence, okay? And Republicans should be making that clear every chance they get, that the Democrats are a party of violent extremists. Again, look at Chuck Schumer, okay? He had to run to the View, right? He's running to the View to defend himself. And let's just say the cackling hens, I don't think they're really buying into Chuck Schumer's explanation here, which, again, is just another example of how extreme the Democrat Party has become, right? They don't have a choice. This is why I told you guys from the beginning of all of this. The Democrats are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you're seeing it play out right in front of us right now. So let's get into it.
You mentioned, this is what a leader does. And we were just talking in our last segment about we aren't seeing a clear leader of the party, because even though I agree with you with your decision, and I see why, but you were only able to get 9 Democrats to go with you. How is that leadership? Why?
Okay. Look, the bottom line is there were a whole lot of Democrats who were torn, and they on the one hand, people were clamoring, do something now, do something now. Now, do we have to act, and do we have to fight these Republicans, this right-wing group,
the MAGA.
Not all Republicans, every step of the way? But do it in the smartest way possible. If you're fighting them and then you end up in this shutdown, let me tell you something. If we ended up a shutdown 3 weeks from now, people would come to me and they'd say, they just cut off my Medicaid. They just got rid of my veterans benefits. Stop it. And I say, we can't. We're in a shutdown. And then they'd say to me, why did you let the shutdown happen?
Yeah.
So a lot of people responded to the anguish. I appreciate it. I am I wake up 3 in the morning sometimes, so worried about the future of the country under these oligarchs or klepto, whatever, or, oligarchs, I guess.
Yes.
And but you've got to find. We are fighting them tooth and nail in every way we can, but you've got to fight them smart. And if you led yourself into a shutdown, which they, by the way, Musk, Doge, Vote, they want a shutdown. They said they wanted a shutdown.
Well,
and they thought we'd play into their hands. This guy Vote, who's head of the Office of Management Budget, has a whole list of what he wants to cut. And the Republican dream, not the Republican dream, the MAGA right-wing Republican dream of decimating the government, you know why they do it? They want tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. They want to destroy government, give all the money to the wealthy, and get rid of any regulations that they might have. So I felt an obligation to stop.
But if you
Wow. I cannot tell you how hilarious these Democrats are to me, because a vast majority of them are incoherent, right? The party just seems confused. I want you guys to understand, leading up to this shutdown thing, right? We all witnessed the Democrats come out here, and they basically said, well, the shutdown is on the Republicans because the Republicans have the majority in the House. And this was coming at a time in which people had questions about whether or not the GOP would have enough Republicans support the continuing resolution, right? So Democrats played this thinking that, well, a shutdown is going to happen and it's going to be on Republican. But all of a sudden, when the GOP decided that, hey, yeah, you know what? We all agree on keeping the government open. Now all of a sudden, Democrats want a shutdown, right? They want that shutdown that they claim would be so terrible for the American people when they can blame it on Republicans, right? When they can blame it on Republicans, they say, oh, no, shutdown is so terrible. The American people is so bad, right? But again, why is it that you want to hurt the American people now, Democrats? Is that how bad you hate Trump? You hate Trump so bad that you're going to hurt the American people because you just want to stick it to Trump, right? Is that what you want to do? Again, there is no cohesive message coming from the Democrats, right? And Chuck Schumer, as the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, the mistake that he made was not him agreeing to end the filibuster. That wasn't the mistake. The mistake was him saying the day before that he would not end the filibuster, right? That he would not vote to keep the government open. That was the mistake that Chuck Schumer made, because if you knew that you didn't have the cojones to move forward with the shutdown, right, to see it through, then you should have never promised it, right, as leader, okay? The shutdown became a legitimate idea for the Democrats when the leader, Chuck Schumer, basically said that that's what's going to happen, right? When he decided that, hey, I'm not going to end the filibuster, just for 24 hours later to come out and to fold like a wet paper bag, right? So I think Democrats are right to criticize their leader, okay, but not for the reasons that they're criticizing him for. They should criticize him because he should have never promised to shut down the government in the first place, right? That's a game the Democrats should have never played. They should have been trying to work with the GOP to keep the government open, okay, rather than to just stand in opposition to what the GOP wants to do. Maybe they should be a party that actually collaborates with the president when it makes sense, and then they wouldn't be in these situations. But again, it's their opposition to Trump no matter what. It just keeps putting them in these really bad spots, and it's backfiring big time. It's blowing up in their faces, okay? I mean, they're about to basically stage a coup against Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, right? That's what's about to happen.
You're right. If what you're saying is true, how do you explain the fact that Friday Trump publicly congratulated you for this decision? He said you did the right thing. Yes. He said your decision, quote unquote, took guts and courage. Was he trying to trick you?
Troll me.
He's trolling.
He was trolling me. I know this guy.
It's so confusing, though.
Well,
people are reading that.
He's trying to confuse people. He always tries to confuse people. He tries to hide what he does, and by way, that's another. You know, we Democrats are fighting them very hard. And what are we fighting them on? Today, we have a Medicaid Day of Action. Hakeem and I have set this up for the Senate and House. And we have senators and congressmen going to all different parts of their states and districts talking about how bad the Medicaid cut would be and why give tax cuts to take that money away from people, average folks, and give it to the very wealthy. God almighty, these guys are rich enough. God bless them. They don't need more money.
You know, it's so crazy to me how Democrats continue with this same old talking point about tax cuts for the rich. They're trying to take away your Medicare, your Medicaid, and to get tax cuts to the rich. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I believe first and foremost, right? Here's what I believe first and foremost. That if you are on welfare, right, and you are an able-bodied person, okay, you can work, okay, no, you should not be living off the system. Yes, we should take away money from people who can work but choose not to work, and they're living off the system. Yes, we should take away their money, and we should cut taxes for working people. Yes, I do believe in that, right? Whether or not they're billionaires, millionaires, if you're making $60,000 a year, $50,000 a year, don't matter. Yeah, we should be taking away money for people who are living off the system, okay, who don't deserve it, right, who shouldn't have it, and we should be cutting taxes for those who are working. So, again, this argument from Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, this whole, billionaire thing, is just hilarious to me because the Democrat Party is run by billionaires, okay? You know who benefited the most during Biden's economy? The billionaires, due to asset inflation. Okay, the rich got a whole lot richer under Joe Biden, and the poor and the middle class suffered because of inflation that the rich benefited from. Their party is run by oligarchs. Everything that comes out of this man's mouth is basically a confession. It's a confession. That's what it is. They're projecting, okay? So, again, it's these same tired talking points that it's just not going to move the needle. It's just not, right? It's not helping them.
But they're so greedy. But wait. So Trump he tries to hide all this. He tries to hide all this about talking about Greenland or changing the name to the Gulf of America. This is another way of him trolling.
Distracting.
Distracting.
Yes.
Senator, I want to ask you, because I actually do agree with your decision to keep government open. I think no one wins. It costs the economy billions of dollars. Federal workers are left in the lurch in a shutdown. But I'm a Republican. I'm not really your core constituency.
They're very nice.
No, you are a liberal. You're not a Republican. I wish her and Anna Navarro would stop calling themselves Republicans. There's nothing Republican about you. Okay, you might be Republican in name only or Republican for paycheck only, but that's it, right? You're a Republican for a paycheck, because if these people weren't Republicans, nobody would care about what they have to say, right? They play the role of reasonable Republican, right? That's their role on national television, right? But they're not Republicans. They're just Democrats.
A lot of relatives who are Republicans.
There are many nice ones. But some of the progressive members of your caucus are not, the House caucus are not with you. Jasmine Crockett questioned your leadership. Hakeem Jeffries dodged a question about your alignment over this and obviously voted the other direction. There seems to be a disconnect between the younger generation and some of the newly elected Democrats and yours.
do you believe that the party has confidence in you to continue to serve as its leader? And as somebody who is influential in helping Biden's decision to step aside, do you think it might be time for you to?
No. I think that, my Senate caught first, you asked who's the leader. When we don't have a president, there are a lot of leaders. We have a lot of really strong talent in the Senate, in the House, in the governors. We have a great bench.
Really? No, you don't. You do not have a great bench. Your bench is AOC, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, Stephen A. Smith, Jon Stewart, right? That's the Democrat Party bench. You do not have a strong bench. Stop all this lying. If the Democrats had a strong bench, they wouldn't be in this situation, right? Having a strong bench implies that you have strong leadership throughout the party. If you have strong leadership throughout the party, you would be in this spot right now. It's because you have weak leadership. You have no bench. There's no clear-cut leader of the Democrat Party right now, okay? The Democrats have no direction whatsoever. So, again, this is cope right here. It's cope. But I'm surprised. Alyssa Barrett Griffin actually asked him, hey, should you step down? Right? So, they're at the point now where they're confronting the Democrat leadership or stepping down. Yeah, it's bad, right? I mean, Chuck Schumer's days as leader, they're numbered. I'm sorry. There's a full-blown revolt now that they're openly questioning the leader, saying that it's time for you to step down. This is how it started with Joe Biden. Right? This is how it always starts, okay? It always starts when they start asking questions about should you step down, and they're asking these questions to Chuck Schumer's face. That means it is a serious possibility that this guy is not going to be leader of this party for long, right? They're about to get rid of this guy.
But as for the Senate caucus, of which I'm the leader, I should be the leader. And let me just say this. One of the things I am known to be very good at is how to win Senate seats. In other words, I'm a strategist in terms of recruiting candidates, helping the candidates run campaigns and win it. Look, winning in 2026 in the House and Senate, which could stop Trump once and for all, is vitally important. Okay.
Yeah, what he's saying is that he's good at raising money, right? He's good at getting on them knees, right? And try to get some money, right? That is what he's good at, okay? So fundraising. Fundraising is the reason why he is a leader of the party, right? When you look at, basically, for the most part, the leaders of these parties throughout the decades is always the person that can raise the most money. So that's the main thing he brings to the table. But outside of that, he don't bring much else to the table.
So I did this in 2005, but just recently, in 2020, everyone said they'll never get the Senate. And we pulled off something that many people regarded as a huge surprise. We won the 2 seats in Georgia. We got John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, the first African-American ever elected in Georgia in 100 years or a long period of time. And so I am good at that. But second, I'm sort of the orchestra leader, and I have a lot of talent in that orchestra. So what I do is I show them off. We have some great spokespeople, people like Chris Murphy and Brian Schatz. Right. We have, Democrats are learning to do the digital social media much better than we did before. I put Cory Booker and Tina Smith in charge. And then we have Bernie going out to Republican areas and doing rallies and rallying. So we have a load of talent in our caucus, and I'll tell you one thing. We are totally united in one thing. Many things, but one thing above all. We are united in going after Trump and showing the American people that he is making the middle class pay for the tax cuts on the rich. Right. Today, we're doing it on Medicaid. We're going to do it very soon on the tariffs. He wants to put these tariffs in. It's going to raise you folks, the average family, $22,000 a year for these tariffs. Why is he doing that? Something so stupid.
Why?
He wants to use that money for tax cuts for the billionaires. The Republican Party is a different kettle of fish than it used to be. And that's why we're fighting them so hard. They are controlled by a small group of wealthy, greedy people. And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or, I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, the land and water that I own, or my employees? They hate government. Government's a barrier to people. A barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're...
Yeah. So they're stopping Chuck Schumer in his little rant here, okay? Because again, he's just going on a tangent. But hey, yeah, I don't want the government taking my money. Yeah, I don't. Right? I'm sorry. If you think I'm a bad person because I don't like to be taxed to give money to people who don't want to work, right, and to support Democrats and their pet projects, then, you know, hey, whatever. You can say whatever you want about me. I don't care. I'm still going to vote to keep more of my money. Yes, I'm going to vote for more tax cuts, right? Yes, I'm going to vote so that people need to work in order to live, so they can't be just living off the government and working folks. Yeah, I am going to continue to vote that way, right? If you think I'm a bad person, I don't care, okay? But regardless, again, what you're saying here is that the Democrat leadership is falling, right? Chuck Schumer's on the chopping block. They're going to get rid of him first, right? And we'll see. We'll see. But if Chuck Schumer falls, the Democrat Party is wide open for the next lunatic to rise up, okay? It'll be interesting to see what happens in that vacuum of leadership. But I personally think that the far left is going to win, right? They're going to win this Democrat civil war. They're going to take over the party. They've already taken over the DNC. Once they officially take over the party, including in the legislature, yeah, I mean, they're going to officially be the party of Jasmine Crockett, the AOCs, the Ilhan Omars, and that to me is going to be disastrous for them in the long run, because I don't think they can win any elections like that, especially when you talk about getting men, okay, men of normal testosterone levels to vote for Democrats. Yeah, it's going to be rough, right? It's going to be tough for them to do it. But we'll see what happens. As of right now, the Democrats, again, are the best reality show on television. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.